Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the L Forum Leadership Speak series. Today, I have the pleasure and honor of inviting a very, very dear friend of mine, Deepesh Goel, to our conversation. Deepesh and I go back almost 2.5 decades from the time we were in business school together in Calcutta. And we have happily watched each other progress through our careers, and we've been very, very thick friends at the minimum and have seen how our lives have progressed. I have watched Deepesh move on from corporate roles to be an entrepreneur and also an author. So, without further ado, I'm going to request Deepesh to give us a brief background about himself and share his views on leadership and entrepreneurship. Hey, Deepesh, welcome.
Thank you, Rico. Uh, Very warm welcome to the audience, and I'm very happy to be part of this session. Let me just first introduce myself, and then we can take the discussion forward. I'm a IoT consultant, Internet of Things consultant by profession, with interest in Industry 4.0, writer and poet by passion, and I volunteer with Atal Innovation Mission as regional mentor of change. So this is a Government of India initiative by Niti Aayog. I started my career way back in 1992 in sales, and that was in initially getting into the shop floor, working with the production shop floor guys, and then moving on to sales function. And then from there, I moved to marketing role, to Six Sigma, to sourcing, and various other functions. And finally, I was as a country business leader in the last corporate role. So I became an entrepreneur by a break in my career in 2017, which I took after 25 years when I published my first novel, which is called Love, Life, and Beyond. And though I initially thought of becoming an entrepreneur after 10 years, but it was only after 25 years of experience which I got an opportunity. So never too late. And I'm happily working as a entrepreneur for the past 4 years, and I'm enjoying. So that's what I want to share.
Excellent, excellent, Deepesh. Thank you so much. And so today, as I told you, Dipesh, I want to kind of pick your brain on a few interesting areas, which are your favorite areas also. And I would also like to talk about a little more about what you're coining a new term called innopreneurship. Would love you to talk about that, but we'll come to that later. Let's start with the first thing. What is your definition or your understanding of leadership after being in the corporate world for almost 3 decades? What's your understanding?
So I would define leadership in terms of certain qualities which we develop over a period of time. And I don't believe in what we may call a born leader or something. I would say it is like developing certain habits, and you also need to have a positive and a growth mindset to develop that. So there are certain qualities as a leader one should develop, which are humility, integrity, communication skills, and one of the very important thing I would say as a leader is to have empathy towards people with whom you are dealing. And if you are leader, it doesn't mean that you'll always be successful. You will see failures. You'll find obstacles, problems. You have to take those problems as opportunities, and that is how you develop leadership.
Great. That is very interesting. You said that you moved into entrepreneurship after a lot of deliberation. So, what motivated you to become an entrepreneur, and what in your mind is entrepreneurship?
So when I became an entrepreneur, it was more by an accident than actually going for it. As I said, it came as a break in my career. So I think it is a difficult process to move from being an employee in an organization in a corporate role to entrepreneurship. It's not a easy thing because, as I just mentioned about the mindset part of it. So typically, employee in an organization, though finds very difficult during the month, but once he or she sees the paycheck at the end of the month, so that gives some respite, some good, something good about the job. But obviously, again, the next month the grind happens, and that becomes a terrible part. So moving from that to an entrepreneurship was a kind of a challenge, because obviously there was no fixed pay or money which was in the bank balance. So that was a kind of a initial hiccup, that one cannot just move from being an employee to an entrepreneur. But over a period of time, things settle down, and that is kind of a understanding which must we must have, that you have to start from scratch as an entrepreneur. It is right from like you have a basic salary with which you start, and same way when you become an entrepreneur, you also have to start with some very small earning coming out of it. So I would say, in order to become an entrepreneur, there are three things which one has to develop or define, and then only jump into this arena. So I define these as three P's: purpose, passion, and perseverance. So if you are believing in certain things, if you are very much clear about solving a problem, so that is something you should strive for. You should find a purpose to it. The second thing I would say, you should also have a lot of passion and interest to take it forward, because otherwise, sometimes you might just become a loner and nobody to support you. So if you don't have enough interest and enough motivation to take it forward, then that will not happen. And I think third and the very important thing is you have to make it sustainable. That means you have to have that kind of a perseverance to take it forward. And then only I would say entrepreneurship is the right choice for you. It should not happen that you are bored with your job, you are having a lot of work life pressure, or maybe that you are not finding your boss or your
Mhm.
supervisor uh, good enough for you. So you just want to go for from a 9 to 5 job to
So
a
it should be more
entrepreneurship.
a pull rather than a push. You
Yeah, and it might just happen that you might end up in a 24/7 affair being an entrepreneur. So never think that you are moving from 9 to 5 to a better kind of timeline.
so it should be more a push, sorry, a pull rather than a push, and also
Yes,
you should be cognizant that any kind of challenges will come to you.
sure.
So I have kind of been thinking about people like you when I've been speaking to a number of folks in on this forum, as we have coined this term as the entrepreneurial or entrepreneurship and leadership forum. Do you believe that there is something called entrepreneurial leadership, and if so, what do you think that is?
I would say uh, entrepreneurship and leadership are kind of very much related, because if you are an entrepreneur, obviously you have to have certain leadership skills which I just mentioned, which could be seeing problem as opportunities, empathy, humility, integrity. So these are certain skills which are required. And obviously when you are becoming an entrepreneur, you have to lead a team. So if you are leading a team, you have to become a very effective leader, not just an efficient leader but also an effective leader. Because if you yourself are not good enough, then obviously the people who are going to follow you or people who are going to work with you will not be competent enough. And one more thing which is equally important is that if you are a leader, you have to ensure that you develop more leaders in your team, so that it should not happen that one fine morning when you are not able to lead the team, there are not enough leaders to take that role. So you have to appoint bright people. You have to have a lot of people who are having abilities much more than what you have, and obviously you have to give them a kind of uh, a leeway or kind of a opportunity to be groomed in a time frame, so that once you step down, you have many leaders who can take that forward. So I think entrepreneurship and leadership is a kind of complementing each other. So it is kind of a requirement which any entrepreneur, any leader should have.
Excellent, excellent. Uh, I know that you are also pursuing this concept called innopreneurship. Why don't you tell me something more about what that is and how it might relate to some of the audiences who are in this forum?
So, innopreneurship, as we define something called creative entrepreneurship. So, obviously, an entrepreneur is somebody who constantly innovates and develop value by that uh, constant innovation. And what my idea about entrepreneurship, particularly for teenagers or young professional, is defined in the terms of 21st century soft skills and also some of the hard skills related to disruptive technologies. And the mantra is to start early, as early as possible. And also, one has to keep in mind that not just you are developing these hard and soft skills, but you are also getting the practical applications of these skills by doing hands-on. So that is what I call the innopreneurial path. And this innopreneurial path means you can get enrolled into a tinkering lab or a robotics lab or a maker's lab, and thereby not just gaining the theoretical knowledge about these skills, but also implementing and doing experimentation at a very young age. And typically, what I find that when we are in the mid part of the career, or even if we are in the early part of the career, often we don't have time to fail, and failure has to be the integral part of our system, and then only we can progress. And when we start young, we have enough time to fail, enough time to tinker, make prototypes, solve our own problems, solve community problems, solve problems who are close to us, and thereby developing that innovative and entrepreneurial mindset at an early age. And obviously, once you do that, you don't need to go through some 25 years of grind or 10 years of grind, what I went through in my corporate career, and then only move to entrepreneurship.
Okay, great. So, on that note, my last question to you, Deepesh, is what is your advice to anybody looking at entrepreneurship? If you're a young professional, a young MBA, or a fresh graduate from a undergrad program, what is your advice? Should they or shouldn't they? And if they should, what do you think they should do?
I think not just from the point of view of entrepreneurship, but as a uh, career uh, path, I would say. So I somehow relate to four things which are very critical, either becoming an entrepreneur or having a 9 to 5 kind of corporate life. So these four I call as uh, career blueprint. These four pillars of career blueprint. So first thing I share is that one should be skillful, and for that you need to learn skills. You have to relearn skills, and sometimes you have to unlearn skills. So this is very important. And today we are in the age of online learning, where things are just on a click of a button in our four walls of a house or office. So things are quite easy to achieve. The second thing I would say, we need to be also present into the social media. We need to be virtually present through blogging, through various social or professional portals like LinkedIn. So content marketing has to be done. Our brand building has to be done. Personal branding has to be done. The third thing I would say, equally important, is the networking. So it can be the quality of networking as well as the quantity of networking. So when I say quality, it means that the five people who are in your surrounding are going to influence you in a very big manner. And obviously, you have to ensure that you are not in a company of some toxic people, and you need to learn from them and they need to learn from you, and it is kind of complementing each other. And also the quantity part of it, if you don't have enough people to fall back upon when you have some crisis, like we just had second wave of COVID in India, and we got help from completely unknown strangers. And even if we start tomorrow entrepreneurship, we will find that the co-founder of our company startup is absolutely a stranger, which we never knew. in our lifetime. So that is important. And I think the fourth and equally important thing is that we need to have very good corporate citizenship, and also uh, investing time on social and community work, because once we spread happiness, one that we can become happy, and also people get benefited by that. And it's not just it is a one way process of just giving to the people or giving to the society, but things are coming back to us in also great ways. May not directly from the people whom we have served, but in a different way coming back. So that's what my advice to the budding entrepreneurs or people who are making their career, who are just in the mid or early part of the career.
Thank you so much, Deepesh. That was, I'm sorry, I was on mute. So that was very interesting, and I'm hoping that the um, folks who are tuning in to see this benefit by your experiences and your advice. Thank you so much, Deepesh. And as always, it's a pleasure talking to you. Wish you all the very best with entrepreneurship and all your other pursuits. Wish you all success. And needless to say, we'll be in touch. And thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ringo. Great talking to you and to the audience, and I wish you all the best. And also to the audience, be safe, and let's connect sometime in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Deepesh.